Hey everybody, welcome to InPsight Radio. I am your host, Danielle Egnew, and you are a fly on the wall too everywhere. How are you guys? I am so excited, you guys. I have the world's greatest guest in the studio today. I am so stoked. I can't even believe it. This is a very, very, very dear friend of mine. And one of the things we love to do on the InPsight podcast is shed light where a lot of light doesn't go. So I'm so thrilled to have in the studio today my super dear friend, author, and empath. And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into what it's like to be an empath on a ghost hunt later on. And case manager for individuals with intellectual disabilities, Benjamen Bennett. Hey, Benny.
Hey, Danielle. How you doing? Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for coming up from the great country of Wyoming to come up here. You crossed the continental border of Montana and Wyoming to come up here. Benny, I really appreciate you coming because on this podcast, we work really, really hard to make sure that we shed a lot of light in areas where people might not have a lot of information. And one of the things that I have experienced with this is it allows people to relieve themselves of a lot of fear. And I mean, I don't know if you heard it. I had my cousin on here. And she is a person who votes with an R next to her name. Really, it's just all fiscal. She's a social, who cares person. But we talked about how much more in common we had with her being a conservative person than, because we're so divisive right now, right? So you guys may have noticed that the name of the podcast is the United Transition of America, because we are going through quite a transition. In case y'all didn't notice, it's kind of big and it's kind of hefty for most of us. And Benny, I've known you for how many years now? How many?
It's got to be 20, if not a little more, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
About 20?
About 20 years.
Yeah.
It's been a long damn time.
Yes.
And Benny would come and follow Pope Jane, and we'd have a great time. And one of the things that is interesting is really, I'd say over the past maybe few years, is really where we got a chance to really be a lot more close as friends.
Definitely, yes.
Right? And
yes.
That also corresponds with you just truly being 100% you, And so a lot of people have never, ever met a person that they were aware of that was a trans person.
Right.
And I don't even like that sentence because to me, you're just a person.
Exactly.
And the only reason I'm even talking about the trans word is because when we're talking about people being people, it's really important, I think, that we kind of get into some myths and debunk them and just show people that people are people, man, because this is just so ridiculous. So I remember when you were in your previous incarnation and you came up and ran karaoke for my 45th birthday.
Yes, it was like a blizzard that I drove through. But anything for you, because I love you. You're wonderful.
Thanks, man. It was insane, you guys. It was a foot of snow on the ground. I couldn't believe it. It dropped a foot of snow in one day. And Benny made it up from Powell, Wyoming, by God, to Billings. But I remember that day, and you worked so hard to get there. And I was just like, God, it's so great to see you again. And then you fully became, Benny, you fully became. And I was so happy for you, man, because I don't, even though I remember your former incantation of the self back then, right. I don't really remember that person as much as I remember you, because this is who you've always been.
Exactly. Yeah. I just feel like finally I just turned 60 years old and just transitioned not quite 4 years ago.
Wow.
And just finally feel like I am me, 100% me, and just 1,000,000 pounds off of my chest. Everybody that knew me before is just like, wow, you just look so much better, happier, lighter. I'm like, yes, exactly. That's how I feel.
Well, and I remember that too. I mean, you had a particular pensiveness about you. You were always lovely, always just a great human being. But there was a pensiveness there that's not there anymore. And I think what people don't understand, and I can't say I even understand the full journey. I'm a cisgendered female, right? Yeah. However, I remember the days when 20 years ago, well, still now with a few pockets of really colorful people out there, where they would refer to gay or lesbian people as people with a mental illness.
Yes.
And, I still see, it breaks my frickin' heart, Benny. It breaks my frickin' heart when my friends who have gone through such a journey are referred to that way. Because, why? That's ridiculous. I mean, and so I don't want to put you quite in the spot to say, what would you say to people who say that? However, what are your reflections on that whole, the trans people, it's a mental illness, blah. God.
Oh man, it's just.
And you come up on that microphone. I want to
just
hear
that
there it
we're
is.
just that we're regular people, just like anybody else, and it's just about what's accepted and all the things other people put on it because they don't. It's not super common, and yeah, it's just about being yourself fully is all it's really about, and it's no more mental illness than anything. Yeah.
Yeah, and I tell you what gets me about that is the people who are like, it's a mental illness. I'm like, have you gone to your mental health practitioner lately? Perhaps you ought to, because when we project onto others such fear, why do you think? Why do you think people are so freaked out?
Oh man, I think there's some part of them that is maybe just a little bit mad. Sometimes, not everybody. But ones that are so vehemently angry and everything that maybe there's some part of them that really wants to be fully themselves. I'm not talking about being trans, but in whatever way, and they don't feel like they can or they're afraid to. And some part of them is maybe just a little bit resentful or it triggers that part of them. I think that's maybe just a little bit of it.
I think you're right. And also, I have literally known actual human beings who are like, I don't know any trans people, and they're all mentally ill. And I'm like, that dude you're working with is a person who is a trans individual. No, he's not. No, he's not. And so, I mean, so isn't that odd? Like, to even think that someone would put that much focus on what you do with your own personhood.
It is crazy, and that is the big deal, that people just don't know anybody, or they don't think they know anybody that's trans, and we're just regular people trying to earn a paycheck and pay our bills and get through life. We're all surviving and living the best we can, just like anybody else. And it feels like once I can't tell you how many times someone has commented to me, I didn't like any of those trans people. Same as when I was lesbian in my former life.
Yeah. Your former identity.
And 20 years ago, it was true about that. And now it's like, I never knew anybody that was trans, and I didn't like any of those people. Right. But you're just a regular human. You're just like anybody else. I'm like, exactly. That's all I want people to see.
And you are not only just a regular human, you're an exceptional human, Benny. No, you are.
Very sweet.
Well, my wife, Rebecca, and I went down to your 60th birthday party.
Yes, it was so great.
We tore it up. You're welcome. That was so fun. We tore it up in Powell, Wyoming.
Right.
And that's where you live.
It is.
Right. So I know I've got a lot of listeners out there going, wait a minute, like the record scratch in their brain is like, they're like, hey, you're living in Wyoming. How big is Powell?
Oh, it's between 6,000 and 7,000 people last time I checked.
6,000 and 7,000 people.
Pretty small.
Okay. Yeah. And the overall population of Wyoming is what?
What is it? A little over 500,000, like 500, 600,000.
Did it finally get there?
I think so.
I thought it was right at about 480,000.
You might be right. I haven't looked that up lately, so you might be correct.
There is
not many.
No, way more cows, way more rocks.
Yes, for
people in Wyoming. And so when we hear Wyoming, of course, made some pretty big national news back in the 90s. with the death of Matthew Shepard.
Yes.
And what was your take on going to Wyoming, because you originally arrived in, your previous incantation of the self. You previously arrived there. How did you arrive on Wyoming, of all places?
It's kind of a crazy story that I'm from St. Louis, and then I had moved to Florida with a friend, lived there about 3 years, and met my first long-term girlfriend. And between us, we had scraped together barely enough to get anywhere. But
right on.
Neither of us loved Florida. Like, the beaches are beautiful. There's some lovely people there. There's many good things about Florida. It's where I went to massage school. Like, so many great things came from that. But it just, the heat and humidity and bugs are not my friends.
Big bugs.
Big. They're ginormous. And we both just wanted to go somewhere else. And we said, if we could move anywhere, where would we go? And we were like, okay, we want the least population because we were tired of crowds. We want mountains. We want 4 seasons. We didn't know most of them were winter yet.
Right.
And I can't remember. Yeah, those were the big ones. I think I'm leaving something out that also met the criteria. Had never ever been to Wyoming, neither of us. And we're like, hey, I've heard of Jackson Hole, right?
Oh, yeah, everybody's heard of cha-ching.
Oh my gosh.
Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
And this was 31 years ago because 1994 is when I moved. And went to Jackson Hole, and oh my gosh, yeah, $1,000 a month for rent 31 years ago.
What?
$1,000 a month.
No.
For a shack. And nobody, we had a dog and a cat that we drove across country.
No.
They wouldn't take animals, we lasted, I don't even think we made it maybe 4 days in Jackson.
I would imagine one would run out of money in Jackson.
Yes.
Dude.
Oh my
God.
So I'm like, well, I've heard of Buffalo Bill Cody, right? I've heard of that. So I called the real estate place in Cody, Yellow Pages back then, right?
Yeah. Flick.
Called them up. Said,
Flick. Yes.
Yeah. Can you see mountains from Cody? And they're like, oh yeah, they're all around us. I'm like, right on. So we went to Cody, and there was something about that area, the Bighorn Basin area, that we both just knew we were home. And I don't know how to describe it, like if I had a past life or what it was, but we just both knew this was where we're supposed to be.
You did have a past life. Do you want to know what it is? It's coming in right this second.
Oh, cool.
It's right over the top of your head over here.
Awesome.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So you did have a past life in Wyoming.
Wow.
And you were a male in that lifetime.
Yes.
And what they're showing me here is that you made it all the way across. It was well before Wyoming was a state. And they were just sending people out to try to rush land and whatever. And you rushed out there and you got as far, although you were kind of more around Sheridan-ish area, but you were trying to make it over to the Cody area, and you had something to do with the river. You dealt with canoes and trapping and all kinds of things back in the day, and you finally made it over to the Cody area. It wouldn't be exactly where Cody is right now, but that area. And what they're showing me is that you had negotiated with the native population. And you'd negotiated, you were super cool. You were like, hey, no harm, no foul. I'm just coming in. I'm not over trapping. I'm just taking a few animals. And you would trade with them. And you got caught in the crossfire right outside that area. I would say, the river runs through Cody, right? It goes all the way through there. And if you kept going with it a little, I guess, what is that? To the east? If you just kept going that direction, that's more where you were living. And you got caught in the crossfire between 2 native tribes.
Wow.
And you, of course, started helping your buddies because you had one that you traded with down there, and you started helping them, and you got killed. And you were laying on the ground. You had an arrow that was through your lung and your heart.
Whoa.
So you had a minute before you died, and everything's going on around you, and they're jumping over the top of you and fighting and whatever. And you laid there, and your actual last thought that I'm looking at was, are you serious? I just got my cabin built. I just got my cabin built. And it was this little 1-room thing. It was like really hard for you to build, and you got it going, and you thought it was ironic. You were a very tough man in that life. You thought it was ironic. You just were laying there kind of like sad, but kind of laughing about it. Like, this is it? Really?
Wow.
This isn't even my fight. Are you kidding me? And you just died. So it's very interesting that you would say that you went back there and you felt like there was a past life there because you had one. It was like 1840s, right in there. So I think it was before Wyoming was a state.
What's really interesting is I did a past life regression where the person just had me do all the visualization and do all the talking. Like, it's not like somebody else told me, you're this,
Yeah.
But I know it's what you see, and I could see you looking over my shoulder like you're just seeing it all unfold. It's so cool. But yeah, I just looked down at my feet after coming out from this tunnel, and I was wearing cowboy boots or some kind of boots, and so I knew it was something like that. And then I knew that I died from, I didn't know if it was a gun or an arrow. And that I was really in love with a Native American woman as well.
Well, that would make sense why you were helping this one tribe out over the other tribe, right?
That's all I got from it, but it was really cool.
Well, that would make sense that you're helping this one tribe like crazy. And the other one, you're like, I got to help defend against, because your girl was in that tribe.
Right.
So wouldn't we all step up for that?
Of course, yes.
So, I mean, it's so cool when you get to reconnect with your history. And you are a deeply spiritually sensitive person. You are a massive empath. And for those people who are listening, I would hope after 8 seasons of the InPsight show that you would know what an empath was. But for those who don't, an empath is a person whose psychic gift is being able to feel into everything. They feel into everyone. They can navigate a room from inside out of every person who's sitting there. And I mean, this makes so much sense with your day job, quote day job, my finger quotes here, as a case manager, being able, especially with individuals who may struggle with just more standardized ways to communicate,
Yes.
And so you have this opportunity to feel into these folks and to feel the people around you in Wyoming. Do you feel like that kind of gave you a bit of a leg up in making a transition to the Wyoming culture? And the Wyoming culture is different than the Montana culture. It is very different. We both are really kind. We love people. Wyoming is still the old West. We're a little more polished up here in Montana.
Yes.
Till you get to the eastern half of the state, then all bets are off. But it's true. So would you say that this gift of empathy has helped you navigate, and especially in your former life when you and your girlfriend moved up here?
Yeah.
How did you feel that played into part of you feeling your surroundings here in Cody?
Sure.
At the time?
I mean, I definitely think being an empath is a beautiful and wonderful gift, and it helps you, like, as you said, navigate, whatever environment you're in a little easier, for sure. It also is super overwhelming, especially if you don't know what's happening when you feel all the feelings. But,
Let's talk about that. What is that like for you?
oh man, most of my life I've always hated crowds, and I didn't know until the whole understanding about being an empath, what that was about is just feel like there's so many feelings. Everybody's feeling all these hard, beautiful and terrible feelings, and I receive them all, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to go crawl in a hole. This is crazy. I just get overwhelmed and panicky. And I used to avoid crowds at all costs. They're still not my favorite, but I can deal with them a little better now.
Well, and I find too, I'm an empath as well.
Right.
I'm just weirdly a hyper extroverted empath, which is just weird. But
Right,
it's a weird thing. But you're a huge extrovert, I feel. And maybe that's just because I've been friends with you for such a long time. Would you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert, though?
See, I've always thought I was an introvert, but the last few years coming out of my shell more, and like there's no good or bad in either. They're both wonderful and valid, but I've been more comfortable with other people the more I'm myself.
Yes.
So that it was easier to be a little more extroverted. And if I've had a drink or two, that helps too.
Oh, don't we all? We all just love that little bit of liquid courage,
Just a
don't we?
little.
Sometimes that's the social lubricant. We all love
Yes,
it.
for sure.
And I remember in your former life, I remember you being a much bigger introvert.
Yes, 100%.
Wow. And now I see you as an extrovert
Wow.
because you're just being yourself,
Exactly.
fully being yourself. And who of
Yes.
us does not feel like they can just get out there and hang with the best of them when you're being yourself?
Yeah, it's the best feeling.
And so here you come as a big empath. And again, if people don't understand how the gift works, that's drawing energy through the heart chakra. It is busting that energy apart so that you can decode all the energy and understand where somebody's coming from. It's like a GPS, right? And you send it up to the brain to compute. So it's pulling energy through the heart chakra. And Benny came on one of our Haunted Bridger ghost encounters, the ghost experiences that we do. And we were investigating a particular location in Bridger, Montana, thus Haunted Bridger. And there were children who had some really bad things happen to them that were coming up and sharing. And Benny, share with other empaths, just so they can come out of the closet, empaths. It's okay. You can do it. Share with them what your experience was, because I saw in you what I've seen in other people, and others try to hide this because it's embarrassing. So what happened?
I just felt overwhelming sadness and grief, and it was so much. These kids, terrible things had happened to them, and they were dealing with so much, and it just some of the things also were a little triggering from my past, but it was mostly just all of that sadness and grief, and it was just so overwhelming. It felt like it was almost suffocating me, and it was so much that I almost thought about running out of the building, but I was, by the grace of God, thankfully, because of understanding a little more about being an empath to wonderful people like you and that help us, I could go, wait, this is not my stuff. This is all of that feeling that's there from these kids, and I'm okay and I'm safe and I'm just feeling it. And so I just started crying and could not stop crying, for the love of God, no matter what I did. I think I hugged you 47 times.
You did. I was just like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I could see your big heart. And one of the things that you said to me that was so fascinating was, I really am so glad I could help bear the weight of some of this pain for these kids, because you felt as though you were, they were able to communicate through their feelings. Is that kind of how you felt?
Yeah, and I don't know exactly how it works in the spirit world. This is way more your deal, but like, I don't know if they can cry. Can they really express emotions or get it out of their system as well in spirit world? Like, somehow I was helping just the catharsis of that a little bit. Maybe just in some small way. Helped relieve a little bit. That's
what happens.
Okay.
No, I'm dead serious. What happens is that spirits can't cry. That's a biological function, right? But what they can do is show you how they felt. They can pass the energy they're still carrying on. So you help them spirit cry is really, and I was doing finger quotes, everybody. You can't see that, but you help them spirit cry, which was really helpful, because these are just kids. They're kids.
Yeah.
And they are struggling with how to be who they are. So one of the things that I would tell you about being an empath, anybody out there, if you've ever walked into a room and you get emotional, or you're around somebody else and you get really emotional, how many times in your life have you had to excuse yourself from a situation? Has that ever happened before, where you're just like, I gotta get out of here a minute?
Many, many times I've just been too overwhelmed and had what I thought were panic attacks. I mean, they probably were, but it was because of just feeling so much overwhelming emotion from whether it was one person or a whole crowd.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lots of feeling that big burst of energy. So that's something that empaths have to deal with a lot. They really have to work with that. And so if you're listening and you're an empath, you're not a weirdo, you're not oversensitive. If you have the old social lubricant of a little gummy or a little alcohol or whatever your poison is of the week, that is not uncommon for the empaths out there. That's pretty common, in fact. So after we got done with that, and you guys, after I found out Benny drove home to Powell, which is how far is Powell? 65 miles?
It's not even that much. I think it's about 45 minutes, 50 miles.
Okay, it's close. Yeah. It's by Montana standards, it's really close.
Yes.
And same by Wyoming standards. So you're just down the road, right? And so you drove home for that 40 miles, 45 miles, crying, shaking it off.
The entire time, all the way home.
Oh my God, my friend.
It kind of felt good, though. It kind of felt good for me, too. Like, maybe I needed to let some stuff go, and it was helping me as well. So.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
We get a healing. We get a healing when we give a healing.
Yes.
And very clearly, you gave a healing to those young people who needed that from you. They needed that from you. And I mean, you must feel that way in your work too, as a case manager. And just tell us a little bit about that, because here you land in Powell. Well, actually, wait, we're going to put a tiny pin in the case manager portion because I want to catch up to your life path. So you were in Cody. When did you go to Powell?
So I was in Cody about 9 years. So Powell, about 22 years. I've been in Powell.
Okay, so about 22 years. Mm-hmm. And while in Powell, while in Powell, how more Montana can I get out here? While in Powell, it's true. If you say Powell in Montana, it's Powell, Pall, Powell. We're going to Powell. You were running karaoke. Is that correct?
Yeah, just as a fun side gig because I love to sing and it's a very cathartic, healing thing for me. So yes, I did it several times a week for a few years, and then I needed a break, and then recently I just did it once a week. And it's really fun to just encourage people to sing and get out there and have some fun.
Now, did you start doing karaoke in your former life, or was this after your?
It was my former life. Yeah.
Okay, so you started karaoke. Now, I just want to talk about when people. The reason I'm bringing this up,
sure,
is because sometimes I get a little chapped in my sitting area around people being like, well, I don't know how you could live in Montana. That's a terrible red state. And oh my goodness, and isn't that north of that death plain, Wyoming? I don't understand how you could stand that. And, I understand that for some folks out there watching the sensationalized media, and I work in media, you guys. And I work in media for myself at this point because I have a real problem with how sensationalized a lot of the major media corporations want everybody to be. Everybody. And I would try to explain to people, no, Montana's the live and let live state. And Wyoming is a little more rough. I'll give you that. Again, we were talking about Matthew Shepard, who was a young gay man who was tied to a fence in the early 90s and beaten to death. And what city did that happen in?
That was Laramie.
Yeah. Laramie, cowboy town. And I knew Matt Shepard. Matt used to come up to Billings and party.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. He was a little sweet little guy, the nicest little buddy. He was so sweet. And it was really, I didn't know him really well, but I knew him from partying with him, at the then Magoo's, which was the Loft and all these places back in Billings. So when Billings had the only actual out gay bar back in the day in a 3-state area. There was just nothing. There was no, there were gay places where people would covertly hang out in Wyoming, but the gay bar was in Billings. So Matt Shepard would come up every once in a while with his buddies and party. And when I heard all of a sudden, and it was so weird because it was Matthew Shepard, and everybody just called him Matt at the bar. And all of a sudden it was Matthew Shepard was killed. I didn't make the correlation that it was the same person.
Oh, man.
Because you know how your brain, it takes somebody out of context. And then I remember I saw his picture and I just started bawling. I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. Who would kill Matt? He was the sweetest, nerdiest little dude ever. I'm like, how would you kill that person? That's like beating up a puppy. Yeah. It was so unbelievable to me. And and then of course Melissa Etheridge released that song Scarecrow about Matt Shepard. So that's what people think of when they think LGBTQI plus community in Wyoming. They think Matthew Shepard,
Right.
And of course, you guys, there's psychos everywhere, right? However, here you are in Powell, 20 some odd years. In your former life, you're running karaoke.
As a lesbian.
As a lesbian in
back
Powell.
then, yeah.
So that's even super weird too. And back when Powell had 20 years ago, that'd be 700 people,
Right.
And then you make your transition and you're still out running karaoke. Mm-hmm. And how did that go for you?
I mean, surprisingly so well. My friends and I were all a little worried about how it was going to go, and would I be threatened and be, somebody going to try to get violent or just be verbally abusive, or what's going to happen. Oh my gosh. I mean, the people totally surprised me. Everyone. I knew there were so many great people there, and I have wonderful friends there that are more my family than my family is, really, and or at least as much.
Sure.
And I was just so overwhelmed with the support that I got, and the love and the kindness. And there were, a lot of people that say I don't get it, but you're a nice person and I love you. And I'm like, that's all I need. You don't have to get it. It's okay. I don't need anybody to get it. You don't have to understand unless you're going through it,
Isn't that the core of it, though?
Yeah.
And I'm glad you told that story, because I get really tired of people casting Montana and Wyoming in some psycho national drama. And yes, there are very conservative, crazy people. There's very liberal, crazy people. There's crazy people. So, but it's not the character of people in this place.
Right.
And the thing about Wyoming that I love, and I'm teasing Wyoming a little bit, but I mean, I think even Wyomingites would admit there's still a little more Old West out there. Yes. Montana's kind of gotten a little more polished here and there as it's gone along. Barely, sort of. I use the word polish very loosely here, but the Montana-Wyoming relationship is huge. And we're like a city-state.
Yes.
And if anybody's picking on Wyoming, Montana's there. If anybody's picking on Montana, Wyoming's there. We can pick on each other, but and we generally don't. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, right on. You're from Powell is just a town down the road.
Right.
It happens to be over the border, but we live very close to the Wyoming border here in Bridger. So with you experiencing this love from everybody, that must have felt like a really amazing anointment from your community, just to, because I mean, It's kind of scary to come out in any way about who you are.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I was just so pleasantly surprised. I knew the people around me had my back and loved me no matter what, but to have as many people say kind things, or at least neutral things, like, to each their own, and whatever, I don't care, you're the same person. I'm like, exactly, that's perfect, that's all I need from you.
And don't you think, like, the whole why does this affect you anyway?
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying anything about your effed up haircut. I mean, whatever, man. That's what kills me when we see all these people that they just spout garbage. One of the And then I'm going to get back to your job and your empathic self, but just kind of in this loop that we're making. We go on a lot of 4-wheel drives here. We go off-roading a lot on this podcast. I think about the passing recently of Charlie Kirk. And Charlie Kirk, everybody wants to talk about Charlie Kirk like he's this, he's a debater and he's this and he's that. He was a content creator. He was a content creator who made money off of his podcasts. And he would create situations where he would best young people, and he would cut those situations into videos and put them online and put them on his podcast. Right. They were not debate format at all. He just was talking over the top of young people and whatever, and had a lot of extremely hateful and inflammatory things to say about the trans community.
Yes.
And, I got to thinking about this, and I thought, nobody should be shot for their opinion, period.
Oh,
Next paragraph. In this day and age, especially when you're leaning forward under the blanket and auspice of I'm a Christian, I'm this, I'm that, but really he was a content creator. Now I'm not saying he wasn't a Christian or whatever his version of that would be, but he was a content creator. And one of the things that gets rough as I'm a content creator.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But I'm not over here trying to masquerade as a Christian missionary.
Right.
I am a Christian pastor. I'm a former Christian pastor.
Yeah.
I would say I don't even like the word Christian anymore. That's so sad. I'm a former pastor who taught the teachings of Christ. How's that?
I like it.
However, I would not say, oh, look at me. Flock to me because I've taught Christ. Oh, by the way, I need you to buy an ad in my podcast.
Right.
If you're going to buy an ad, hey, support the podcast. That's what it's for. No big deal. But when we look at this whole big picture is what I'm talking about. The messaging about our humans. Charlie Kirk had a big following, and he chose to use that in a way that would manipulate people into giving him money.
Right.
And he extorted people's fears in my observation. He gave people a place to dump ignorance and say, okay. And, there were one or two things that he said that I agreed with, like, let's release the Epstein files and some other things. Okay. So in fairness, but overall, he and I would probably not be on the same page about 95% of everything.
Same.
And so when we get this opportunity to hear from you about what it's really like in Wyoming, in Powell, Wyoming, 6,000 people, whatever, how people knew you in your former life, embraced you in who you truly are,
right?
And we're like, okay, because that's it, guys. That's it. I mean, and I would say this to our lefty friends who might be listening. I mean, and if you're tuning in for the first time, you might have gleaned that I'm a left-leaning voter. So, but I don't have any hate towards my MAGA friends.
Exactly.
If they want to do that, that's fine. We're probably going to cancel each other out in the voting booth. And if we're drinking, they're probably going to get an earful. But, we've got to go back to treating each other like people is my whole point here. And you are someone who sees into people. You have always been this way. And it's one of the things I have loved about you as a dear friend for all these 20 some odd years, is you always see who people are. And in your job, so we're looping back around to that, in your job, working with people who can't oftentimes find their voice. How do you help them do that by being able to see inside of them as an empath? How do you help them?
And isn't that the whole point of us being here in general is that we're all human, and aren't we just supposed to help each other out when we can and be a little kind? It's the whole deal
100%.
in my book,
Yes.
But yes, with this population, yes, I have some folks, I work with some folks that, can have a difficult time communicating, don't really form words, either they're physically not able or for whatever reason. But they're in there, they're a human being, and you can feel it a mile away. And they're just beautiful souls, and I can't imagine how frustrating that would be to have so much to say and feel and need and not be able to express it the way you want, just to depend on everyone. And thankfully, almost all of my families, really all of them, have wonderful people around them that love them and are trying their best. Some of the best people I know are parents of some of the folks I serve, and they just view this beautiful child as a gift, and it makes me cry just thinking about it. But yeah, they're in there, people, everybody, they're human, and you can feel it, and they just want to be loved, treated with dignity and respect, just like all of us. And it's not that difficult.
Yeah, right. It's not that hard, everybody. That's my thing, Benny, is, as a gay woman, and again, I'm a cisgendered woman, so I wouldn't even know some of the journeys that you've been through. When,
Sure.
I've always looked at myself as a bit of a tomboy. I was not a girly girl. It just didn't resonate with me, and that was fine that it resonated with other girls. But man, I wanted to play guitar. You can't do that unless you're Dolly Parton with crazy ass tuning that I don't know how to play with those big nails, right? That's a lot. That's
Right.
way more than I was going to learn. I'm like, no, it's too hard. I'm going to cut my nails off and just do it the regular way here. But I mean, when I think about this journey, when Pope Jane first started, we had a trans gal in the band, Rita. And I don't know if you ever saw Rita. I don't know.
I didn't know her.
She was with us. She helped us so much. She helped us with, she was very, very knowledgeable with mastering. And of course, back then, and look what I have. Look at this. You hear this, you guys? That is a Pope Jane cassette from back in the day.
Nice.
And Rita Brown helped us master these cassettes and got them going. And we sold a bajillion of these things for $5. It was ridiculous how much work it took to make one of these. So Rita was a big part of the band. And there were some unfortunate personality issues that kind of came up over time. And so unfortunately, we let her go. And I think, and I was a kid too. I think I was 26-ish, right in there. And there were some difficulties that Rita, as a trans woman, was having. And you got to imagine, this was back in 1996, 97. Yeah. And that was before there was any sort of compassion or assistance for our trans community. Rita got all of her augmentations, her body work, anything that she had done, was her surgeries were done in Mexico. And all of her testosterone came from Mexico. And so it wasn't like she had a doctor who was helping her with any of trying to balance, her hormones, because she was balancing the estrogen against the testosterone and trying to get all of this together. So, I didn't have the awareness back then of what happens inside of a person when they have this many hormones just raging on. And Rita she had all this estrogen going on, and none of us understood what was going on. None of us understood the severe mood swings, I mean, we're all girls and there's that mood swing, but this was additional, right? And we were kids and we didn't get it. And it unfortunately just, there were just so many things that now looking back as a 56-year-old person, it kind of breaks my heart a little bit, because I don't think Rita had a way to put it into words. We sure didn't as kids to understand where all these big bursts of emotion were coming from. And it was a lot. And, and it was just we're all just big buckets of, you guys were big buckets of chemicals. All of us were big buckets of chemicals. So Rita was with Pope Jane for probably the first 2 years that we were together. And I think she's passed now. I heard from a dear friend that we both knew her very well, and I think she passed finally. She had some health issues for a long time. That's what I meant by finally. She struggled, and it broke my heart. But we used to go touring around. It was me, Holly, Kristen, and Rita. Yeah. And Rita was significantly older than a lot of us, and she had started her transition when she was well into her 30s. And so, they did not have the same types of medical help for things like hair placement and all kinds of things. So Rita was always trying to comb her hair forward because she had already lost some of her hair, in her former life. So no one was ever unkind to Rita. Not one show. We played Gillette. We played Powell. We played a bar. I don't think it's around anymore, called Clyde's in Powell. Was our very first away show. Oh wow! And people were super. It was a biker bar, dude. Yeah, it was a biker bar, and so there were. It just the world was different. But and Rita, back then again, and I'm really considering my words right now, because I don't think there's a need for anybody to blend or be. I mean, I used to get told by record labels, if I would just stay in the closet, I could blend. No. I could pass as a straight girl. And, when you looked at Rita, she was just a very androgynous looking human being, And so nobody ever roused her up. And that was Wyoming, and it was Montana. Wow. So, and that was, 30 some years ago. Yeah. So I think that your message that people just we need to pay attention to who we are. And we need to stop treating each other like a bumper sticker. Oh, yeah. Because that's just not okay.
Exactly. I would say that I have a friend that's a trans woman, and she has experienced significantly more of a difficult time than I have. And I don't think she had quite the support system I had to begin with, which is part of it. But same with gay men. Like back then, it seems like they have a little harder time. Like the men are more threatened, and there's more verbal and physical threats. I did have a few negative experiences, but I didn't want to dwell on those. Like, by and large, people have been so great. Or at least, like I said, neutral. Like, you do your thing. No big deal. Perfect. That's all. Can we all just be ourselves? No big deal. But, there's been my trans woman friend has had quite a few issues, especially about bathrooms.
Oh my God.
That's the big deal, the bathroom. Oh my Lord.
Well, and speaking of bathrooms, and we'll get to that in just a second. However, I think you're right, because even as a gay woman, I literally got, back in the day when my gay male friends were getting razzed up by the cowboys, and I think when that happens, I'm just going to say this to you. If you're listening out there and you are a male and you want to beat up another gay male, just rent your gay porn and get it over with, okay? Because
Right?
nobody has that much anger towards somebody unless it itches something inside of you, okay? Because who cares? Who freaking cares who you're going home with? This is so insane to me.
Exactly.
Back in the day, nobody cared much about the women.
Right.
And like I said, Rita, as a trans woman, if people were going to be nasty to her, they sure weren't nasty to her in front of me.
Right.
And in her journey, she had some pretty bad things happen to her that were not good. Yeah. And I do think that our trans women have a harder time with that.
Yeah.
And it's I don't understand, guys. I don't understand what it's like to not be a cisgendered person. Right. But I'll tell you what I don't understand. I don't understand why it's necessary to torment somebody who's different than you are. I don't get that.
I don't at all. We're all the same. We're all human.
I know.
Just need some love and respect.
I know. Can you imagine the world,
kindness.
right?
Oh my God, kindness.
Kindness is big. It's everything. So circling back around to the bathrooms, and I want to be delicate with how I transition this topic, because there have been really horrible things that have happened to members of the trans community in bathrooms.
For sure.
So I want to be delicate about that. At the same time, gang, how we live our life, how we view what occurs, the lenses we put on it, the lights we shine on it, make a big difference into learning.
Yes.
And if we can start to learn, and you guys, before Benny came on, I'm like, is it okay if I ask you about this? Is it okay if I ask you about this? I don't want to be like a weirdo.
Aww.
But I want people to just know you as Benjamen Bennett, because that's who you are.
Yeah.
And so Ben wrote a book called Weird Things That Happened to Me in the Bathroom. And you can pre-order this book right now on Kindle, and just go to Kindle and type in Weird Things That Happened to Me in the Bathroom. And it's Benjamen, Benjamen Bennett, which is Bennett, Benjamen Bennett. Weird Things That Happened to Me in the Bathroom. And you can pre-order your copy. And when is this expected to drop, roughly?
Release date is March 1st.
March 1st. Okay. On to your Kindle. And now you've gotten to know Benny. And now you know a little about him. So tell us what, besides the slightly obvious, what... Ben is a Virgo, you guys, and therefore has a ridiculously fantastic sense of humor. So what made you decide to title it and write this book?
Just because with so many weird things, I have so many stories, and I would make my friends laugh hysterically. I know one night at karaoke, I don't think Danielle could catch her breath for a minute because I made her laugh a lot. But just...
Oh my God, I was dead. I was like, I'm glad I have a panty liner on right now because I'm peeing myself. This is bad.
You'd just be surprised. I mean, everybody's got a weird bathroom story, I think, or two. But when you're trans, it just makes it so many more things can go wrong.
I'm sure. And you told me a story the other day at the Dry Creek.
Yes.
About, would you mind telling that story?
Sure, about
just to give a flavor for folks about the book.
The guy.
Yeah.
So I'm in the bathroom, and I'm just peeing, and I went in there and there was nobody in there, and all of a sudden I hear, "Hey, cowboy."
Now you're in the stall.
I'm in the stall.
Right? You're
I'm in the stall. Yeah. And I hear, "Hey, cowboy." And I'm like, what? I have no idea who this is. Is this a friend of mine? Am I being pranked? Is someone hitting on me? Like, no big deal, but I just don't know what's happening, and it's awkward. And so I really tentatively go, "Hi," and then he goes, "What's your name?" And I'm like, "Oh no, now I think he's hitting on me. I don't know what to do. I don't freaking know what the right answer is. I don't want to be mean, but I don't, so I'm just like, I'll wait him out. I'll sit here. I'll just wait him out. It'll be fine. No big deal." He's taking forever. I can hear him shuffling around. I'm like, all right, I'm a grown man. I can go wash my hands and pass him and get out. It'll be fine. So I go to wash my hands, and I look over at him, and he's looking in the mirror. He's talking to himself. I was worried for nothing. I think he was just a little drunk and maybe giving himself a pep talk in the mirror. I don't know. I think I saw some
cowboy.
I think I saw some finger guns going. It was fantastic.
Hey, cowboy, how you doing? How you doing, cowboy? Oh my God, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. So, and that would be unnerving though. If you're in the bathroom, you're like, I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm not into guys. I don't know what to tell you from the stall. Sorry, I don't. Oh, that's so awkward. Oh my God. So I for one am really, really, really looking forward to reading this book. And again, if you're just tuning in, this is my guest, Benjamen Bennett, who wrote a book and is currently in the finishing stages of Weird Things That Happened to Me in the Bathroom. And again, it's Benjamen, Bennett, Benjamen Bennett. You can look at that on Kindle. Go ahead and get your advance copies, you guys. Buy those advance copies because, I said to Benny, I said, oh my God, I want to read that book. There's some weird ass stuff that happens in the bathroom in Wyoming.
Then you throw in a prosthetic penis, and it just gets really crazy from there. Once that gets away from you in the stall and it rolls out in the middle of the floor, there's people, you're like, what do I hide? Could you please hand me that, sir? I don't know what you do.
Sir, please don't kick my penis. Please don't kick. Oh my God! Oh God! You know what, you guys? Because we're all human, and if you can't laugh,
you gotta laugh.
You gotta laugh. What are you gonna do? That is just. I could just imagine some guy like just shit-faced in the bar, right? And he's wandering around, and here comes his penis just rolling out. It's like, oh goodness. What do? You just step over and keep going, man. Wash your hands, leave.
Am I hallucinating? What is going on?
The guy checks his penis. No, it's still attached. Okay, it's not a bathroom virus. I'm okay. It's all working. Right. Oh my God. Ben, you have the most amazing sense of humor. You have the most amazing heart. You are the kind of person that I, honest to God, wish more people would be like. That's really true.
I really appreciate that.
Oh, and like when we would go, Ben and I would go up to karaoke at a place called the Blue Cat, which is in a little tiny town called Huntley that's east of my hometown of Billings. And our friend Bridget Shore.
Yeah.
Bridget.
She's the best. We love you, Bridget.
We love you, Bridget. Bridget runs karaoke there. And here's another example of a community that's amazing. You go to the Blue Cat, and it's out in Huntley, population 14. It's very small, very small place. I'm not razzing on you, Huntley. I don't actually know your population, but it's small. And in the middle of all of this, you've got Bridget, and she's running karaoke. And what is it about music that brings us together? What do you think that is? Because you've run karaoke, Bridget runs karaoke. You're there, me and Rebecca are there. There's the biggest Merle Haggard cowboy.
Oh, yeah.
You know, sitting over there and he's looking at everybody and going, well, you just live your life. Don't take my guns or my cows. I don't care what you're doing. Just I'll buy a beer. That's a good singing.
Right.
You know, what do you think it is about music that draws people together?
It's just what it makes you feel, and all those feelings connect us because we're all human and we all have those feelings. And it just one of the most connecting forces I've ever known about. It's beautiful.
I think it's beautiful too, and I'm getting ready to do more music.
Yay!
Yay! And it's been a minute because Holly, of course, and Holly is my dear soul sister. You guys all know Holly Shaver. God rest her soul in heaven, and she passed away not quite a year ago yet. A year ago on November 12th, and she had fought through many years of cancer. They had told her that she was done, and she got another 7 years past her "you have a year to live" diagnosis, and she just kicked it.
Yeah.
And you were there at our Pope Jane reunion show in Billings. That
Yeah.
was it was in Huntley actually.
Yeah.
That was an incredible show.
Awesome.
We had so much fun. So music does bring people together. And flashing back to the Pope Jane days when you had this, me and Kristen were out. Holly was just kind of loved everybody, but didn't really talk about it. And she went on to marry a wonderful man, and for many, many years. And then there was Rita for the forming of the band. The band's name was Pope Jane. So we were taking our pirate ship and running through the dock of all these ports back then, and people were kind.
Yes.
And once in a while, you'd get the guy who'd be like, are you sure you just don't need a cowboy with a 9-inch horse? And I'm like, I'm sure, but thank you for that visual that I'll never get out of my mind. No. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Does yours come off in the stall too? Do I have to roll out from underneath the door? Yeah, that's crazy. So, when we think about what we've got to look forward to in the country, what would you... just as we're wrapping up, because we got about 5 more minutes here in our podcast. And if you could say something to a listener who maybe tuned in because they were curious. They were curious about what's it like to be a trans person. What's it like? What would you say to that person about your journey? And I would start you with this. When did you know that this is who you are?
I've known since I was 3 years old that I was male. There's no doubt in my mind. I just thought something had gone terribly wrong with the outside of me. I didn't know what was going on, but something wasn't right. Because I didn't look like my brothers, and I had a whole different set of expectations, and it was like in the clothes and dresses, and I'm like, this is horrifying. I don't like it. So
this is really interesting. You notice the different set of expectations.
Yes.
You're male,
yes.
And you're kind of got smacked into this female chassis, and you're like, whoa, this is not my operating system. Tell me about the different expectations. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, well, my mom was very, very religious, Southern Baptist, and from the South, and just very old school. It was, you do the inside chores. I had to, everyone should pick up after themselves. That should be a no-brainer.
Right.
But my brothers never had to. My mom just ran around following them and picked up after them. But I had to, and I wanted to because I like things neat. But
right.
But I had to be the one that did the dishes or helped with the housework. And they got to go mow the lawn. I'm like, man, I want to mow the lawn. That sounds way more fun. And none of it's really fun, but
it's what you would have preferred to have done.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So gender roles, wow. Mm-hmm. And so here you are. So how did you? Like, I can remember the exact moment that I realized I was gay. And it was actually in college.
Wow.
I didn't realize that was my deal. And then all of a sudden, every single other thing in my whole life up to that point absolutely made sense.
Right.
But I was so programmed that you're supposed to have a husband and it's supposed to be a guy. Mm-hmm. I just kept looking for this mystery guy, and all these poor sweet men I would date in college. Not a lot happened on their end. I'm sorry, guys. But, we'd hang for a little bit and I'd be like, can we just be friends? I don't know. This just feels weird. I can't explain it. This is just, maybe we're just not right for each other because I'm gay. But I didn't know that yet. yet, right? I didn't know. So it took me to being in college, and this chick kissed me, and I was like, and I didn't know it was a girl because my eyes were closed. Long story, but once I opened my eyes, I was like, oh my God, I'm gay. I'm gaggity gay. That's what's going on. So being 3, like you actually knew that you were a male.
Yeah.
And that must have been so freaking confusing.
It was very confusing. I did not understand what was going on. But yeah, I had to be this female role.
Wow.
And I sure didn't like it and fought against it as much as I could. And also in my family, I really felt like my mom, and it was how she was taught, and how sometimes Christians, the fundamentalists, are not all, about women are, submit and they're less than, and like men were always much better, bigger. They're the cool ones,
Right. They're the head of all the things.
Yeah.
And the rest of everybody can just deal with it. Yeah, I remember that in some of I wasn't Baptist, but in the evangelical community, there was a much softer version of that. Right. So did you ever say to your mom, I'm a boy?
I don't really remember if I said that. I know I talked a lot about boy clothes and boy, I like to play sports. I liked to do all the things. I always wanted to hang with my brothers.
Yeah.
And she was always trying to get me to hang with little girlfriends and,
do the girly
talk about
things.
Getting married and all that.
I remember getting told that I needed to. I remember not ever wanting children of my own. I liked kids, and I always knew that I would be a mom to a pre-existing child. Right? Like I would adopt a child or something. Cool. But at a very young age, as a woman, I knew as a girl, I better answer, yes, I want children. Because, 50 some years ago, if you didn't want children, something was really wrong with you.
Yes, definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
So I used to say, well, I don't know that I want to have kids, but, I'll adopt one someday. Which is interesting because I haven't obviously legally adopted my daughter, Nora, because her dad is still here and her other stepmom. Yeah. But I took on this child. So I think I knew that was going to happen. So what would you tell a person who would be listening to this, who's just tuning in because maybe they're curious? They're like, oh my goodness, I want to hear from this trans person. I want to see what their experience is like. What would you tell them, especially those that are out there that really feel like they need to toe the line, the hate line, with the trans people for their church or for their community? Is there anything you would even say to that person, having been part of the Baptist community at one time?
Yeah, I don't know what would really help. It's just about finding the humanity. We're all human. We all just want a little kindness, a little love, a little respect. It just comes down to the very basic things. I'm just like anybody else. We're all human. And if you can just get that much through, that's phenomenal,
Well, and that's something that is very important because we are all human. And if a person is a Christian out there and you do follow the teachings of Christ, Christ never said, debate with people, best them, make them feel stupid, then beat them up with this book that people are going to write 99 years after I die. Christ never said that.
No.
Jesus never said that. And I get real fired up about this. Again, having been a former pastor. And I think once you're a pastor, you're always a pastor. Yeah. Just because you're not pastoring a church doesn't mean, technically on paper, I'm still a pastor. Right. I just don't pastor a church. And I think I get real owly about that. So one more thing I would ask. Sure. Would you do me a giant favor? This is a big favor.
Uh-oh.
And
I'm nervous.
And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move the mic out a little bit. Mm-hmm. And would you sing one verse of Amazing Grace for everybody so they can just feel how great you are? Oh, my God. Here, I'm just going to put it here.
Can you edit it out later?
We won't even need to, doll. Okay, you go for it. And this is because I've been singing with Benny for 20 years, you guys. So this is one of
your... You're going to sing with me, right?
I'll sing with you, okay. Sure.
Yeah.
I'll come in. You start.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Thanks, my friend. I love you.
I love you too.
You're awesome.
Oh my gosh. So guys, do not forget to hop online, go to Kindle, check out weird things that happened to me in the bathroom. Absolutely go check that out, guys. Order it, pre-order it on Kindle. And I'm actually going to be on December 6th from 3 to 5 p.m. I'm going to be down in Powell, Wyoming, guys, at Indigo Thrive.
Yeah.
Yes, putting on a forum for 25 folks. And so if you want to actually be part of that forum in person, if you're down in Powell, you can hop onto my website and register for that class. I'm going to be teaching the forum developing your spiritual and psychic abilities, because there's so many people that I ran into in your 60th birthday party. And by the way, it was a packed house in Powell for Ben's 60th birthday party. It was awesome. So if any of you are going to be in Powell, Wyoming, on December 6th from 3 to 5 p.m. at Indigo Thrive, which is located at 144 North Absaroka, then come join my class, and we'll talk all about how it is to be a psychic, a medium, an empath, how to work with those divination gifts that are inside of yourself. And so you don't have to feel like a big fat weirdo. You know, you can actually just be like, okay, I guess this is more normal than I actually thought. And you can get those tickets for this event at my website, Danielle Egnew, EGNEW-advisor.com. Benny, thank you for coming on. I love you. I appreciate you so much.
You're welcome. Love you so much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I will see you all next podcast.